Alright, give me just a second, ladies and gentlemen, as I deal with YouTube and not wanting to show me my own stream. And welcome back, boyglings. I am the expert of experts, the master of disaster, the one and only boy series of Megastilla, and we are back with the Voidex, this time with Final Fantasy IV. So it's been a while since we did the Voidex, and I really do want to start doing the sorts, so we are going to be starting with Final Fantasy IV. Now with that said, why is Kata Rosa dead? What? Why are Kata Rosa dead? They're just randomly dead. Where am I? I'm over here for some— wait, what? What was I doing? Why are you dead? Stop being dead. Alright. I have no idea why those who were dead, but they were dead. So, Final Fantasy IV. A little history about Final Fantasy IV. Originally, when we got Final Fantasy IV, this is common knowledge, it was localized as Final Fantasy II for the SNES. Because we never got the original Final Fantasy II or Final Fantasy III. They just never translated them over here. They never brought them over at all. So, to not make it confusing to the Western audience, they instead make this game Final Fantasy II. Now, when they re-released it later for the PlayStation for the Final Fantasy Chronicles, or no, it's Final Fantasy Anthologies collection, which have got— or no, it was Chronicles. It was Final Fantasy IV and Chrono Trigger. They renamed it back to its original name, Final Fantasy IV. By the way, the PlayStation version is very, very slow, if I recall, because it is actually running on an emulator, their own actual emulator, and it's slow. Also, that was my first time playing Final Fantasy IV, was on the PlayStation. I actually loved this game a lot back then. I played this game quite a bit. I also found this game pretty hard early on with playing it. Like, the first few playthroughs were pretty hard, especially with a couple of the bosses, and we'll get to the bosses in a bit. I have a lot more to say about enemies and bosses here. Now, I'm gonna say this here. In regards to the 3D version, this is not gonna cover the 3D version. At some point, I would like to cover the 3D version for Voidex. Not in this episode. This is purely for the 2D version. Now you may be wondering, what's the difference between 2D and 3D? They are effectively the same game, but there's a few differences. And some of which is okay, some of which are not okay. Which is a problem that Final Fantasy III DS had as well. So, why don't we talk about the battle system for this game? So, unlike the first three Final Fantasy IV started the ATB battle system. In fact, I think this is the game that created the ATB system for RPGs. I'm not sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the game that invented ATB. Now, is it perfect? No. In earlier versions of the game, the ATB system was pretty buggy. If I also recall, you can effectively get, like, infinite turns sometimes against certain enemies because the ATB was super buggy. Other things related to ATV, like, hey, slow, stop, stuff like that, didn't really work correctly. There's a lot of things that just, it didn't really work, because it was the first time using ATV. What does ATV stand for? It stands for Active Time Battle. So, battles will continue flowing regardless of what you're doing in the fight. Unlike the previous games where you had to input all the commands for each character and then it played the battle out, played the turn out, I should say, based on each target speed and all that other stuff. This one will still have all enemies and ally actions happen while you're trying to pick other actions, unless you set wait. If you set wait, then ATV will freeze when you're picking an action. So it'll be a little bit more similar, but only one action can go off at a time. And sometimes you might get multiple actions for characters, depending on their speed and other things. Unlike in the previous game, where it was only one action per target. So that's basically it in regards to ATV. This game is the third game who used the job system. It does it in a way that's different from Final Fantasy 1 and 3. You cannot change your jobs. There is a character who does change their job, and that's story related, but you cannot change your jobs like in Final Fantasy 1 or 3. Well, if 3 in particular. It's more like Final Fantasy 1 where you're stuck with a job, but in Final Fantasy 1 you can pick what jobs you can have at the start of the game. You can't do this here. Everyone has their own specific role, unlike the first 3 games, and everyone has their own unique abilities about them. Kind of like Final Fantasy 3 with the job abilities, everyone's got their own abilities. For example, Rydia here, she has Black Magic and Summons. Cecil, the main character, is originally a Dark Knight. He comes with Darkness, which is a AoE damage move that takes some HP off of Cecil. And when he's a Paladin, he gets White Magic up to only a specific amount of White Magic. And he gets Cover, which lets him protect allies that are low on HP. Kind of like where Rosa and Kane are right now. And you know, Edge has Throw, Steal, and Ninjutsu. Rosa has White Magic and Aim, and Kane has only Jump, because, you know, that's all Dragoons know how to do is jump. Give me just a second, if you will. And you do have more than just these 5 characters. It's kind of like Final Fantasy 2, where characters will come in and out of the party, where your 4th slot was always a different party member. Party members will switch out all the time in this game. The only character who stays at the party the entire game will be Cecil. So making sure Cecil's leveled up at all times is pretty imperative. But, you know, this is also the first game where you have 5 party members instead of 4 or 3 or whatever, and the only Final Fantasy, as far as I'm aware, where you can have 5 party members in your party. I cannot think any other Final Fantasy game lets you have 5 party members in a party at the same time. Alright, so give me just a second. Let me give it a check over here. I need to go check something. Now, the difficulty of the game, I will say, it's easier than the other games, the first 3 games, as in, it's very hard to get lost in this game for the most part. And the side content isn't super hard. There's some challenging stuff though, don't get me wrong. But it's not super hard. I say this as someone that's played the game a lot though, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But if this is your first time playing the game, some bosses are gonna throw you off, and you might lose them, and that's okay. This game can be a bit of a pain in the butt sometimes. There's a few specific bosses that are probably gonna wall you off, quite literally in one case. But it's just all about adjusting your strategy, maybe leveling up a little bit, etc., etc. They're not super difficult. They're not super difficult at the point where you're going to be stuck there for hours. As far as I'm aware. Making the final boss may cause some problems if, you know, you're not at a specific level, which I'll go over that when we get to that. But in terms of random encounters, there's really no random encounter in this game that I would say is, like, downright stupid. There's a couple enemies at endgame that are pretty rough, but even then, like, they're not that difficult. Like, most enemies in this game are honestly very easy. Unless you try to go to a place early, which we'll also go over that. But overall, yeah. Difficulty isn't really, it's harder than other 3 games, I feel, but easier than other 3 games. It's in that weird difficulty level, you know. It's one of the easier Final Fantasies, though, I will say, compared to some of the others. Like, I still think that Final Fantasy 2 and 3 are harder in this game, just because of the way that they are. But this game's like... Is it? No, Final Fantasy 1 is still easier than this game. Actually, I don't know. No, this game's easier than Final Fantasy 1, I think. Wait just a second. Give me just a second. Alright, so with that said, why don't we take a look at the menu? So, save load, they're all the same. Quick save. This is a thing that was introduced in the PlayStation version of the game, I believe. I think it was called something else. I don't remember what it was called. Memo. It was called the Memo back then. Basically, it lets you save in a spot, and then you can reload it once, I believe, and you just continue from there. I don't remember if they kept this in all versions of the game, but it's there, I guess. Configuration is still the same. Battle mode, so active time continues to flow when selecting items or magic. Time stops and wait. So, active and wait, it depends on how difficult do you want fights to be? Because sometimes having it on active makes it very difficult. Very difficult sometimes, depending on the game. And then you can change the battle speed. I always keep it on fast. Everything else is pretty much the same. Pretty much the same. The boost, yeah, is pretty much identical. Why is EXP set to 0? I don't know. Okay, we'll take a look at bestiary later. Order, if you double click on a character, it switches everyone's rows. So, front row, back row, it exists in this game. I think this is the... No, they have rows in Final Fantasy 2 and 3. You can have up to 3 in the front and 2 in the back, or 3 in the back and 2 in the front. You're most likely going to change this a few times while playing the game, depending on who you get in your party. Because sometimes you might get like 3 mages, and you don't want any mages in the front row, so you might just flip it around. And then you may, you know, want to flip characters around and whatnot. Status. So, there's not a whole lot different here, honestly. It's your usual stuff. Everything's just like the previous games for the most part. for example, like the AX, I think it's like 8 chances of defending or something. I don't remember. Why is... Oh, nobody has max defense because I don't have any equipment on them. But you can see how they are with default levels. Like, Cecil has, like, very high strength stamina. Rigia has high intellect and spirit. Eggs has decent strength and, high, agility. Kane has high strength and pretty high stamina. And Rosa has high spirit. I can't show you all the characters because they're all, you know, strewn throughout the story. You cannot change back to, other characters in the game. Now, if the Final Fantasy IV abandons, and I think the PSP version, who you could switch characters at the end of the game. That was a bonus feature in, that game. For the, bonus dungeons. There are a hold on, let me think. I think 13, 14 characters in this game. There's a fair amount, honestly. A fair amount. And they all, some of them are going to be similar to other characters, like, there's Hella, who uses white and black magic. He also has the recall ability, which lets him use a random, you know, spell. I think it's black magic spell. For free. Is it for free? No, I think it still requires FP. There's Palom, who is basically, the Rigia equivalent, black mage. So black magic, and he has, bluff, which increases his spell damage by 50% the next time he uses a black magic. There is Porum, who is a white mage, uses white magic, and has Cry, which I think just increases the chances of running away in the 2D versions. It's different in the 3D version. There is Edward, who is the bard. He has South, if I recall, that's what it's called, which takes a potion and splits it across the party evenly, which is very useless. Very useless ability. He also has Hide, which lets him hide, stay out of the fight, which is useless. And he has Sync, which lets him use a bard song randomly. In this version, I think he gets to pick the song. And it's okay. Edward's not really very good, though. Now, if I'm back about Edward, if he's a frog and you use Sing, he will use Hogue Song, which will inflict frog on an enemy. Now, the odds of you having him as a frog is very low. I think the only time that would happen is if, like, Rigia cast Hogue on Edward. I think that's it. There's also Young, who is the monk. He has Kick, which does AoE damage split across all enemies. And he has Brace, which is basically like Protect. And he has Focus, which makes him waste a turn and charge up to do double damage with a regular attack, which I find to be useless. I don't really see a reason to use Focus ever in any game, because it's just like, you can just use regular attack twice and you'll get the same result. There's also Fusoya, who's like Hella, but has all magic, so all black magic and all white magic. He also has Bless, which is regen at the party, which is useless. There is also Sig. He has Analyze, which is a scan ability to one enemy. And that's all Sig has as an ability. Am I forgetting anyone? I don't think I'm forgetting anyone. So there's your characters. So, okay. Kane Jump. It's the same thing as, like, Focus. It makes Kane leave the fight deal like double damage with a spear. I think it's still does full damage even at the back row, so if you want to, you can stick them at the back row. I don't find it very useful. I never really use jump in like any game because it's like, why when I could just hit you? I mean, it might have its uses in some fights, but ultimately, like, it's not really that useful. Jump can get him out of the fight to avoid attacks, though. So, you can use it strategically. Rose has got white magic, which, you know, Prey, which is a chance to heal the party for a little amount of HP. So, it can fail. It's not useful at all. And Aim, which requires her to have a bow and arrow equipped, and will make sure that she's guaranteed to hit the enemy with her attack. In earlier versions of the game, we'll get into this. This was not really as useful due to the way that arrows work. In this version, it's a lot better, but even so, you're probably not going to use Aim that much. It does delay her turn a little bit to use Aim. And then Cecil has white magic cover. We went over Cecil. Riggy has black magic, it's summon. And Eggs has Ninjutsu, which is kind of black magic-esque, in that he uses, like, a fire, a water, which is ethnically classified as ice, because there's no real water element, I believe. He has a few other abilities that you will never use, really. Throw, which allows him to throw weapons, like swords and spears and bow. And Steal, which is self-obvious, is self-explanatory. Fun fact about Steal. In this game, Steal is useless. You will almost never steal anything of value. Almost never. There is a bug involving Steal, I think, in the SNES version. I think that's how you duplicate stuff. I could be wrong. But Steal is ultimately useless. And there's a chance that... And when it fails... Unlike other games where if you fail, it just fails. In this game, if Eggs fails and Steal... Sometimes he'll say he got caught by the enemy, and Eggs will take a little bit of damage. So, ultimately, it's not that good. It's really not that good in this game. And you see that, there's, like, left hand and right hand and both hands. So, the hands here are the hands that you want to put a primary weapon in. So, put the bows and swords and stuff in the right hand, I think. Actually, I don't know if you put the bow in the dominant hand or the other hand. I'm not sure. But if you put it in the wrong hand, then, I think it doesn't give you the full benefits of the weapons. So magic! Let's take a look at the magic. Let's look at black magic. So in this game, you can sort your spells if you really want to. I like doing it in a way where it's kind of like attack, healing, status, you know, stuff like that. So we'll go over this in a second. Give me just a second. Give me just a second. What is this? Give me just a second. That was not supposed to play, by the way, if you heard that. Give me just a second, if you will. Give me just a second, if you will. I'm double checking a couple things because people are bugging me. Okay. So, there's the usual Final Fantasy spells. So you got Fire, Blizzard, Thunder. In the original version of the game, this was called Fire, Fire 2, and Fire 3. They didn't change this until the Game Boy Advance release, where they made it Fire, Fire, Faraga. It's your usual Fire, Ice, Lightning spells. Then you get Quake, which is Earth. There is no Earth element, I think. I don't think Earth is an element in this game. Now, it is an element in the DS version. But in this game, I do not think there's an Earth element. However, you can counter Quake and ultimately Earthquake, which are the only two spells that you can avoid with this spell. You can avoid Quake and Earthquake with Float. So, this is a very, very powerful spell. It's a very good AoE. However, it will not work on flying enemies, and you'll be able to tell which enemies are flying and whatnot. I think there's Flare, which is godlike in this game. Unlike the past few games, I mean, Final Fantasy III Flare was pretty good. This game is stupidly good. So, a lot of these spells have different charge speeds. This will fire off quickly, almost instantly. This takes a little bit more time to fire off, and this takes quite a bit of time to fire off. And Quake will take a fair amount of time. Flare is instant. When you use Flare, it is instantly used. There is no wait time. It will be instantly cast, and it does a lot of damage. Now, Flare cannot be AoE casted. That is something that Flare generally cannot be done. I don't remember that's something that can be done in Final Fantasy II, but like, ultimately Flare is always single target, who is messaging me. Give me a second. Alright, again you get Meteor, which, when you use Meteor in Final Fantasy III, it kinda wasn't really that great, I'm gonna be honest. Meteor is still kinda not good in this game. Yes, it will almost always do 9999 to all enemies. The problem is it has a stupidly long wait time. It's also 99 MP, so like, you could probably do that much damage to all enemies using like an elemental spell if they're weak to the element, or using Flare on a single enemy, or using Quake on all enemies. There's better options to do 9999 damage, or you know, using one of her summon, which does a lot of damage. Meteor is ultimately useless. Also, fun fact, Meteor is technically wholly elemental in this game. If an enemy absorbs Holy, they will absorb this Meteor. Now granted, there's not many things that absorb Holy in this game. But yes, Meteor is technically Holy Elemental. Why? I don't know. I got Poison, which does like 1 damage, and then it flips Poison. Bio's also another pretty godlike spell. You usually get this around time, well, I think you have all of these, but you get this around level 30, I think? 25, something like that. Just like Flare, it has an instant cast time, so it makes it very good for checking out damage. And it does a pretty decent damage. Like, I think these are around 700, 800 damage on a single enemy, maybe 1,000. I think Bio does about 1,500 damage, which is a good chunk of damage, and it inflicts sap. Tornado will try to reduce the enemy's HP a single digit. This is viable against a few enemies, but ultimately you might not be used to this very much, in all honesty. When you're grinding at endgame, Tornado is going to be a very good spell. Originally, there was a boss that was weak at Tornado. They removed it in this version of the game. You cannot use Tornado on them in this game. Okay, drain the Osmos, drain HP, drain MP. They're kinda whatever, really. Death, that helps inflict instant death. Just like most status spells, you're probably not gonna use death. Like, you're probably not. Sleep, I can't think of a single time in this game where I ever used sleep. Like, I cannot think of a single time I used the spell. Again, Hog, you don't really use that much. Oh no, see, you can use it in battle like this. Or out of battle, to, you know, cure Hog, so there's a way of curing Hog. And go Pig. Like, you know, turns people into a pig. Pig is weird. I don't understand why that's a thing. So Hog makes it so you can't use command abilities, and you have like 1 attack to 0 defense. It's very bad. Pig is weird. It locks you out your special commands, and it also makes you, if I recall, immune to some status effects. Like, if you're a pig, I believe you cannot be afflicted with mini Hog and a couple other statuses. So, it has its benefits of being like a Swago ribbon, but at the same time, I think it also reduces attack. I don't remember if it reduces attack. This is also the only game where you see the status effect. I mean, you might see it in some other games, but you don't get turned into a pig. It's weird. Break, Petrify can be pretty good in this game. There's a couple instances where Petrify might be really, really good, but ultimately, you're probably not going to use it very much. Stop. I never used to stop in this game, like ever. I can't think of a single use for this spell. And then Warp, which just teleports you back a floor. If the last floor was the world map, I think it just boots out the dungeon. So there's all of the spells. A lot easier to talk about than, say, Final Fantasy 1, 2, and 3, right? And then Summon. So you start with Chocobo. That's the only summon you start with until you get Rivia back later in the game. Then you get Ifrit, Shiva, Ramu, and Titan, and Mist Dragon. Everyone else in the game is optional. So Sylph, you'll have to find Ogun, Asura, Leviathan, and Bahamut you have to fight. And these 4 are all item drops. So you can get a Goblin. And I think you could get, no, I think you could get these 3 before you lose Rivia early on in the game. My player you have to get later on. So, Chocobo. It does non-elemental damage to one enemy. That's it. That's all Chocobo does. Early on in the game, this is going to be your strongest act. Later on, you're never going to use it. So, Ifrit, Shiva, Ramu, they're, you know, fire, ice, lightning, AoE. So, they're good for... They're all pretty much the same power level. Just different elements. Titan is the same as Quake. Effectively, your early Quake spell. If I recall, Titan is your strongest summon. Also, it's the longest summon out of the early ones. Mist Dragon apparently does damage based on the caster's HP. Huh. Interesting. I don't know if that means if the lower HP you have, the more it does, or the higher HP you have, the more it does. Interesting. Sylph is Drain, but it splits the damage dealt across the party. So it's a way of healing. It's Rigia's way of healing. Now, fun fact, if an SNES person, if you put Sylph in a specific slot in Rigia's spell list, it'll cost 0 MP. It's just fixed in later versions of the game. Ogun, you have to fight Git. Does AoE gap. You're not going to really use Ogun that much. However, Ogun does have uses in some fights. Asura will either use Kiraga, Protect, or Life on your entire party. How useful is Asura? Not very, in fact. The AoE Life might come in clutch if you really need to revive everyone. Or, you know, you really need that Kiraga. But it's a gamble. It's a 1 in 3 chance of happening. So 33% chance of getting one of the spells you want. I wouldn't really waste time using Asura. The Fireman, on the other hand, is gonna be your best summon for a long while until you get Bahamut. Leviathan does so much damage. If you get Leviathan at the same time, or shortly after you get Bio, you're gonna be using Leviathan over Bio, I feel. Especially if you're fighting, multiple enemies, you're just gonna use Leviathan. Against single targets, it might be better to use Bio, though. Leviathan still does a lot of damage, but he does have a slightly long charging speed. And Bahamut is Bahamut. Lots of damage. You're gonna be hitting him really hard. Long charge time, etc., etc. Goblin. Very useless. You will never use. Bomb. So I believe Bomb will do damage based on Rigia's current HP. I don't think Bomb kills Rigia. So if you have Rigia at high enough HP, you can just use Bomb over and over and just do that HP damage. The problem is, Rigia doesn't have very good HP, so Bomb might not get used very much. Cockatrice inflicts Petrify on one enemy. If I recall, Cockatrice is actually pretty useful. I never really used this summon, because Gin summon is a nightmare. It's a low chance drop from specific enemies, particularly a couple birds. And sometimes you might grind like 2 hours trying to get this stupid summon. And by that point, you might as well just, you know, not even bother. So yeah, this is one of the rare times where summons are item drops. You will see this again in another game, but like, yeah, it's a weird concept. I mean, it makes sense in a way, but it's a weird concept. Mind Flayer does non-elemental damage, sap, and paralyze one enemy. I don't know if Mind Flayer is worth getting, because you can only get this in one area of the game, and it requires you to fight the Mind Flayer in order to potentially get. It is a slog of a grind to get this summon. It's not good. It's not good at all. So out of all the spells, the elemental spells are great. Quake is great. Flare is amazing. Bio is great. Hogan Pig, that's only to remove, you know, Hogan Pig. And that's really it. Break has uses. Tornado has uses. The rest are all kind of useless. All of the summons, well, Ifrit, Siva, Ramu, Heightened, Dragon, Leviathan, and Bahamut are all super, super good. Cockatrice has uses. Bomb can be useful. Everyone else is kind of bad. Chocobo is good early on. You're not going to use it later, though. Now, Rosa, White Magic. She goes up in Curaja, which is Cure 4 in the SNES and PlayStation version. So, minor, moderate, major, massive heal. In earlier versions of the game, if you had the high enough spirit stat, and your target had low enough, max defense, I guess, stat, you can overflow this and do damage instead, I believe. Or make it recover 0 HP. This is fixed later on, so life and full life, so life and life 2, or life 1, life 2, or life and the rise, or raise and the rise. It keeps changing the names. Revives with, critical HP and fully revives a KO'd ally. In earlier versions of the game, they removed it in this one. If an enemy died, and there was more than one enemy, so say you have 2 enemies, and you select a target to kill, and it's Rosa's turn. If you're fast enough and you choose life, just life, and you pick the enemy who's just about to die, and then you get life chosen on them, and then they die, Rosa can revive the enemy. And yes, this does let you farm the EXP, item drop, and all of that from that enemy indefinitely. So you can farm a specific enemy in that fashion if you want it. They fix this later on. Essenod cures all statuses except KO. Very, very useful. You cannot AoE this, though. This cannot be AoE casted. Life and full life cannot either. Dispel removes beneficial statuses. Now, if I recall, this also removes a negative status too. I think it removes sap, which I don't know why. Ultimately, you're never going to use Dispel. Oh, and if I recall, this doesn't work on Reflect. This gets reflected for some reason. So ultimately, Dispel is useless. Holy, this is your soul damaging white magic spell. It's very strong. However, as strong as Holy is, you're better off just using her for healing. You don't really need her to do damage. And in fact, if the final boss of the game, Holy is a detriment, believe it or not. Scam lets you see the target's HP and weakness. This might be useful, but ultimately you don't really need this. Protect and Sell reduces physical damage, reduces max damage. Now, give me just a second if you will. 1 second. Alright, sorry about that. I had to readjust a couple things. So, in the original versions of the game, Protect and Sell stacked. You keep casting it, it increases your defense and max defense. I don't know how it actually works in this game. I think it actually just halves it in this game. I don't know if they changed it. No idea. But ultimately, I never really used Protect and Sell in Final Fantasy IV. Because of that. There was no real reason to. Also, you can only single target these, I think. Blink lets you avoid 2 hits of a physical attack. So, if an enemy does a regular attack, you will avoid it, and then you will lose a Mirage. This is not really super useful. I mean, there's a couple instances where you're going to want to use Blink, but outside of those instances, you never really use a blink. Float. This spell is important. You get this at, I think, level 30. The reason that this spell is important, not only does it trivialize enemies that rely on Earthquake and whatnot, this allows you to avoid damage floor. Now, in the earlier versions of the game, whenever you move to a new floor, you have to recast this every time. You can cast it on the higher party, by the way. In this version of the game, it stays on per screen until you leave the higher dungeon. So they changed it for this version in particular, if I recall. Which, thank you. It was so annoying. Have to go in the menu and cast float, which, you know, drained your MP really fast in the dungeons you really wanted to use this in. There's only 2 dungeons that you're really going to use float in to avoid damage floors. So yeah, that's a very nice quality of life thing. Haste. I think this is similar to like Protect the Cell in that I think this stack in the older versions of the game. I never used this in the older versions. I think it does just do normal haste in this one. Reflect. There is only one instance where you use Reflect in this game. Well, 2 actually. One is when you find Asura, you want to cast Reflect on Asura to bounce off of Kiragas. The other is when you find Bahamut. You can cast Reflect on each party member. Now, some of them are probably gonna die, who reflect Mega Flare. Now, that's the only act Bahamut has, so this will just outright win against Bahamut. Any other time that you would want to use Reflect, there's no real reason to, or it would be a detriment to you. So, Reflect is not really that useful, I'm gonna say right now. Silence and Confuse, like, there's like never any reason to use them. Mini. Just like with Hogue, it reduces your attack and defense and like bare minimum. You can still use command ability, so magic is still gonna do full damage. It just reduces your attack and defense, just like Hogue. Unlike Final Fantasy III, you do not need to be a Hogue, you don't need to be Mini, and you don't need to be a pig to progress the game. Hogue! There's no reason to ever use this. I've never found a reason to. Berserk has its uses. Berserk increases the damage of physical attacks while making it impossible to control the target. In a couple boss fights, this is actually very useful. For example, say that you want Cecil to just attack. Cast Berserk on Cecil. Or Kane. You don't really want to use this on like Rosa or Rydia or any spellcaster. You're basically going to focus at your big DPS people. Now keep in mind, you do this, and you're going to have one less character who can use items. Or do whatever you need them to do. Or not attack when you don't want them to attack. But in some fights, this is just good to use. Slow, just like with Haze, I never saw a reason to use it in this game. Sight. You use Sight and it brings up the map. So, ultimately, this is pretty useless in later versions of the game. Because, you can just access the map itself. You never need a Sight spell. And Teleport is godlike. It gets you out for dungeons, so most of Rosa's spells very valuable, but like honestly, a quarter of her spells, looking at it, is kind of useless. Perhaps Cell, Silence, Confuse, Hold, and Slow, and Sight are completely useless. Mini lets you cure Mini. Reflect and Blink are situational. And Berserk is situational as well. Oh, and the spell's useless. So yeah, actually about half of her spells are useless. Weird. And finally, Eggs. So, this is just AoE Fire. This is just AoE Ice, technically. And this is AoE Lightning. This inflicts, Stop or Paralyze. Useless. Lets you run away from a fight. This is actually useful if you don't want to fight an enemy. And this is just Blink. So yeah, you're never really gonna use ninjutsu very much. It's there, but like ultimately you're not really gonna use it very much. Also, Eggs has very poor MP, so you know, not very good. And that's really it for abilities. Those are all of the abilities. I guess it's what Cecil gets as a paladin. Very poor selection. You can see if we get Kiraga, and his healing, his spirit is so bad, or his healing, that he doesn't even really heal very well. So like, yeah, he can heal, but he's not gonna heal very good. He has two completely useless spells. Technically 3 because Cure is useless to him. So you're never really gonna use him for his white magic. Esuna is nice if Rosa is out of commission or if you don't have Rosa. Now with that said, let's take a look at the item. So you got your standard items. Small HP heal, moderate, full HP. X potions are very, very rare. I keep a healthy stock of potions and high potions, just so I can heal outside of battle. Now, it's SNES and PlayStation person. This game was unique in that you can buy multiple copies of an item. So, say you have 99 potions. You can buy 99 more potions and have 2 stocks of 99 potions. There is an item limit in the SNES and PlayStation version. And the GBA and later versions, they become like this. But yeah, you can have like 10 stacks of like Phoenix Gowns if you wanted to. That's a lot of Phoenix Gowns. You should never need that many Phoenix Gowns, but you can do that if you want. Ether heals like, what, 50 MP, I think? 100 MP. Dry Ether fully heals MP, I think. Or restores like 200 MP. I forget which. I think it restores 100 MP, actually. Elixir restores all HP and MP, very rare. And then your Skaz heals, KO, Petrify, Hogue, Mini, Pig, Silence, Blind, Poison, Curse. All of them, except KO. Sleep, and Sleep, Paralysis, Confusion, and Berserk. So Unicorn Horns are very rare. It's one of the rare ways of curing Confusion, Berserk, and Paralysis. Remedies are also very rare. I don't think remedies were in the original version of the game. I can't recall if they were. So, let's go for the Skazes. Petrify. A lot of these Skazes are, you know, what you expect them to be. Mini, Pig, Silence, prevents spells, reduces accuracy, you take damage over time. Curse halves your stats. So, all of your stats get halved. Sleep is the same. Paralysis, Confusion, Berserk, all the same. And restores some HP LP. So, you can see 8, 9, well, 7, 15, 4, 32. 7, 13, 4, 32. How much does it restore? Let's find out. So, it restores 1000 HP and 100 MP. This restores all HP and MP. So always keep a healthy stack of hens and cottages with you. They'll be very useful. Once you get cottages, you can, forego hens. You don't really need hens anymore. This allows you to use teleport. Very, very rare. Very useful if you don't have MP to use. Lets you cast Sight. Useless. This lets you call the Fat Chocobo, mostly in the Chocobo Forest. And this lets you call them whenever. So, in the original version of the game, much like in, I think, Final Fantasy III, you can call the Fat Chocobo and he will store items and you can take items out of them. This is because you had a limited inventory in Final Fantasy IV, in SNES PlayStation version. Ultimately, these are useless later on because you don't need to do that anymore. They just never removed it, but you never need to do this, ever. Then you get your apples, so increases maximum HP by 100, increases max HP by 50. And then Soma Drop, which increases MP by 10. Very rare items, but if you want to farm stat boosters, you can. If you want to, you can give Kane MP. It's not going to do anything, but you can. You can give him MP if you want Rigia to, use Osmos on Kane, because he has, no magic defense, but, don't do that. HP boosters, you're probably gonna give, Rosa and Rigia, so, they don't die. Because look at Rigia's HP, it's garbage. And MP is probably gonna go, them as well. Siren lets you call a monster. In every version of the game, except this one, you cannot buy this item. In this version of the game, you are able to buy this item. Actually, can you buy it in other versions? I don't remember. You might be able to. This lets you just call the rarest encounter in that area. This is how you do your Flame Princess farming to get a pink hail. It's still a pain in the butt to do because pink hails are very rare. But pink hails are very, very rare for a reason. And then you get your AoE Fire, Ice, and Lightning. These are not in the SNES version of the game. I don't even remember if they were the PlayStation version. They removed a lot of stuff in the SNES version that we got. Mostly the hack items got removed, and some commands. You're probably never gonna use these, by the way. Ball Fragment is fire, is Fire, Blizzard, Masara, Thunder, and Thundera. And this is basically, a bomb spell. I think it does kill the user. It does say right there. So it's just, you do damage to an enemy based on the HP of the user. So you would use this with, Kane or Cecil if you want maximum damage. Very dangerous to do, but you can do it. Also very rare. Stardust. So Comet is a Windcast ability. This is a special command, I forgot to mention this, that Paladin and Forum have. You use Windcast and can take a pretty decent amount of time, and based on their MP and HP, they will do various spells. So they might fail if they're, one of them's dead, or if they're not in good HP MP range. But you might get Comet, which does a good amount of damage, non-elemental max damage to all enemies. You might get Pyro, which is a very strong fire elemental spell. And those are the two spells that you get with Windcast. So you're not going to use this later on in the game. Osmos, Drain, Slow, Silent, Death, Scan, Stop, Better Stop, equal Better Stop, Berserk, Haste, Blink, Reflect, Negates, I think this is Blink and Reflect. So all of this status stuff, all of these items, you're probably not going to use, like, at all. They're ultimately all pretty useless. The best one out of here is going to be, the Rocket Cider, if you don't have Berserk, and the Light Curtain. Lunar Curtain as well if you don't have Light Curtain. These are going to be used when you fight Bahamut. So while Rosa's casting Reflect, you can have someone else use these, who's put Reflect up on other people that don't have Reflect. Everything else is useless. And then there's Goblin Bomb and Cockatrice. I didn't get Mind Flayer, I didn't feel like grinding to get them. So you can't get all of that. That's all the useful items. There's probably more that I did not get, but you know, it is what it is. Now the weapons. So Defender. This is another game where if you use some weapons in battle as items, they will use effects. So Defender is one of the better swords in the game because it gives you stamina, which means more defense. And you can use it to cast Protect. It's also very strong. It's one of the strongest swords in the game. Avenger. It does reduce your magic and white magic, but it does give you some agility, strength, and stamina. It does put the user in auto berserk, which is buggy in the earlier versions of the game. But this is a very good weapon, especially early on. Especially if you're going to be using Cecil, who, you know, is just going to hack anyway, so you might as well focus on him. Or, you know, Kane. Gorgon Blade. This is a rare item drop. It inflicts gradual petrify when you hack with it, so if you hit like 3 times with it, it'll inflict petrify fully. I mean, it's got decent hack, but like, you're not really going to use this over the other weapons here. So Ice Reactor Fire, or Ice Reactor Flame Sword, your Ice Sword, and your Fire Sword. Ice Reactor had it hacked higher. I don't know why it is. But these are going to be useful in the areas you get them in. Outside that, they exist. Sleep Blade. When you hack with it, it inflicts sleep. Simple as that. There's only one in the game, I think. I think there's only one Defender as well, and Avenger. Mithril Sword. It does extra damage against undead. You will get this early on in the game, after you get the airship. It's going to be your strongest weapon for a while. Unless you get the Sleep Blade, which is kind of hard to do. Blood Sword. It drains HP, it does extra damage against giant and flames. You're not going to use this weapon, honestly. This weapon sucks. It's not like Final Fantasy II where it's amazing. It sucks. And the Ancient Sword, which inflicts curse and does extra damage against undead. You're not really ever going to use this weapon. It's not that good at all. Again, you get the Dark Swords, which only Dark Knight Cecil can use. Deathbreaker is broken, can inflict instant death. Very broken. Again, you know, just his starting weapon and his upgrade. And then the final upgrade. And then, the Light Swords, which is Paladin Cecil's weapons. You start with, the Mythgraven Blade, which we don't have because you use that for something else. You get this Light Sword later on, which is a very powerful weapon, and you might use that over the Avenger. But honestly, the Avenger might still be better than the Light Sword, just because it gives a bigger attack and stamina boost, and agility boost. The Myth-Graven Blade you will use after you get the Adamantite and get Excalibur. Note, you must get Excalibur before going to the moon the second time, I believe. Otherwise, you cannot get Excalibur. There's only one copy of each of these weapons, by the way. You will be using Excalibur for the rest of the game until you get Ragnarok. Ragnarok gives you 5 more strength, and it gives you more stamina and spirit. Spirit doesn't really matter for Cecil. Stamina does. It's also the strongest weapon in the game. You get this by beating Dark Bahamut on the moon, which is a really hard fight. That's one of the hardest fights in the game. I'm just gonna say that right now. That fight sucks. And now we get to Katanas, which are Edge's weapons. So, Masamune and Murasame are both gotten on the moon. Masamune, you need to beat Ogopogo. Murasame, you fight the White Dragon? Or? I think you fight the White Dragon for Murasame. So, as you can see, Murasame is pretty decent. It gives you a little bit more stamina and because of agility. We don't really care about the spirit and intellect. Pretty good damage. You can make up for Murasame's agility loss with Masamune. It lets you cast Haste, because it lets you cast Protect. Not really ever going to use them for their spells. These are your endgame weapons for eggs. The Kiku Ichimonji, Kohetsu, Asura, and Kunai, you just buy these or find them. I mean, they're just upgrades to one another. Nothing special. Daggers, which can be used by, these characters and some other characters. So, Mage Master can inflict silence and does extra damage against mages. I don't remember how you get this. I think you can either win this or you find it, but I think you win this. Dancing Dagger. This is an interesting weapon. It's not very strong, it does give you more evasion. What's interesting about this weapon is you can get this early on in the game, and when you use it in battle, it will use a item spell called Dancing Dagger. This does non-elemental damage on one enemy that ignores defense. It's not super strong later on, but if you're able to get this at a decent place in the game, it's a pretty solid ability, if I recall. For your mages, I guess. You can probably also use it in a magnetic cavern, I suppose. Mithril Knife is just, you know, it's a knife. You're probably never going to use the Mithril Knife. Probably never. There's no reason to. And then you get Spears, which is cane only. So Holy Land. Yeah, daggers are generally pretty useless. Holy Lance is your best weapon for Kane. I say that tentatively. It is Holy Elemental, and when you use it well, it casts Holy. Why would you ever do this? When Kane doesn't use magic. It's just useless to cast as Holy. It might be more useful in the hands of, like, if you use it with, Rosa. If Rosa can even focus in battle, or use it in battle. Also, hello, Melty. You get this by beating, Plague, I believe, is the one that has this. Liber Lands, I prefer over the Holy Lands, for the simple reason that it does extra damage to dragons. Now, the problem is, this is a rare item drop from dragons, the blue dragon and the red dragon. So getting this is a nightmare. You cannot find it, you cannot buy it, you have to win it as a rare item drop. So Holy Lands is still going to be your strongest, but I like using this when there's dragons. Yeah, that's because I have farmed. I farmed for a specific... I farmed to get all the item drops in this game. Most of them. I don't have to mine player, because I was like, you know, I could just show where you get the mine player. This I got trying to get other things, and you will see those. Gunir. You only get one of these. If this is when Cain... Spoilers! This is when Cain rejoins the party for the last time in the game. He will come with the Gunir. Likewise, when he rejoins the second time of the game, he comes with the Wind Spear. All of these do extra damage. All spears do extra damage against flying enemies, by the way. Bloodlands is the same thing as the Blood Sword. Useless. Don't bother with it. Icelands and Firelands are the exact same as the Ice Brand, the Flame Sword. And then Spear is the starting weapon that Cain comes with. And then Axes. Cecil and Cain can use these, so can't Sig. For the most part, you're never gonna use Axes. Now, if you want Cain to do more damage, and if you're not using Jump with Cain, you could give him the Axe. But ultimately, you're not really using Axes. A Rune Axe does extra damage against mages. This is a rare item drop, so have fun with that. Poison Axe, I think is also an item drop. It can cast poison, it can inflict poison when attacking with it. Does decent damage. Ogre Killer does extra damage to giants. Dwarven Axe, it's an axe you can buy. And that's the axes. Again, Hammer, only Sid can use these. Gaia Hammer you can only get one of. I think you can win these from specific enemies. All hammers do extra damage against machines. Mithril does extra against undead as well. When you use this an item, it casts Quake. This is very good. This is a very nice weapon just for Quake. Sadly, Sig's magic sucks, so it might not be as effective. Scabs can be used by Rosa, as well as, you know, other mages. Rune Staff cast silence in battle. This is a rare item drop. This is probably the strongest staff in the game in terms of stats. Otherwise, you're using a Sage's Staff, which can cast life when used as an item in battle. Not bad. Not bad at all. Although, at this point, you're probably using full life. So, I mean, you know, it's nice for the stats, I guess. Cast Dispel. Useless. Useless because Dispel gets reflected. So, useless. Power Staff. When you hit an enemy with it or a target, it can inflict Berserk. So if you want it to, and if you don't have the Berserk spell, and you want Cecil to be Berserk, make Rosa have him with this, and he'll go Berserk. Rosa doesn't love having him Cecil, and he goes mad with love. So here's an interesting weapon. You see, it casts Basuna. Basuna, you never saw Basuna outside the Final Fantasy 2 and this game. It's like the unicorn's horn, and where it cures like berserk, paralysis, sleep, and I think it cures stomp. It cures the weird statuses that other spells generally don't. So, it's weird that they put Basuna in this game, and in the original version, I don't think it even tells you how to cast Basuna. You're ultimately never going to use this, though, in terms of using it for Basuna. You're using it mostly for, the spirit. Healing Staff casts Heal. Imagine that, a spell for Final Fantasy 1 returns as Iron Magic. It's useless. It's useless. Also, this is a rare item drop, I believe. Again, you know, your starting spell. Look at that! It lets you cast Poison up, which cures poison. Yeah, it's like, why does this exist? Poisoner is nice early on, if you're not using antidotes, but ultimately, you're not going to use this for very long. Now, let's talk about rods. Yes, rods. Rigia and Black Mages can use this. This is Rigia's ultimate rod. High accuracy, but you're using this mostly for intellect. When you use it in battle, it casts Comet. Don't get excited. At this stage of the game, Comet is useless. But it's still very good for intellect. Fairy Rod can cast Confuse. Why? It's useless for the ability. Still very nice for the intellect. Rod of Change. Cast Pig. Okay. I mean, but why? Lilith Rod. Cast Osmos. I don't know if it drains MP if you hack with it, but like... I mean, just... It's also, I think, a rare item drop, so you're normally never gonna see this weapon. Again, you get your elemental weapons here, which is Fire, Blizzard, or Thunder, which, I mean, yay? Yep, the Succubus Rod. You're probably not really using them for their Iron Magic. Again, Rod, which has a very unique item magic called Magic Arrow. Much like the Gaius and Dagger spell from Gaius and Dagger, it does non-elemental magic damage to one target when used in battle. Keep in mind, you wouldn't know about this on SNES and PlayStation version. This ability right here is actually going to be probably the strongest ability outside the Chocobo that you're going to be using with Rigia early game. It's actually very strong. It's a very strong ability if I recall. And the only game that has this ability. So it's interesting. Bows! Cecil Rosa and Rigia, for some reason, can use bows. Ultimately, bows are kinda just whatever, you know. They're kinda whatever. Bows are actually useful for Rosa in this game if you want her to do damage. While ultimately they're not that great against most enemies, against flying enemies, bow and arrows will do extra damage. So if you want Rosa to contribute damage, give her a bow and arrow. especially in areas with like a lot of flying enemies like bats. She'll do great there. So, Artemis Bow. I believe this is a rare item drop. It's her strongest bow. It gives her a lot of attack, stamina, and agility. It reduces, well, it's the strongest bow in general. But if you're using Rosa with a bow, this is the strongest bow. You're not going to use Rydia with a bow. I'm telling you that right now. Just note that it does reduce black and white magic stats, but this is your strongest bow, if you can get it. You're not going to see this normally. Yoichi's bow, on the other hand, you will find. And I believe you get this in a Fame March. So, you can see the difference in stats. 20 less attack, and less agility and stamina. Elven Bow. Cast Cell when used in battle. I didn't know it cast Cell. Ultimately, I think Cell is still useless though, so don't bother with that. It does give you some intellect though, so I mean, if you don't have any good rods for intellect, which I mean, you should have these by you should have these for Rydia. Crossbow, standard weapon, and bow. What Rosa starts with. The arrows. Let's talk about the arrows. So, much like in Final Fantasy III, arrows in the earlier versions were limited. So when you used an arrow, it removed it from your stock. You had to stock arrows, up to 99 arrows, which made it very annoying to use. And it was like this all the way up to, I want to say, I don't know if the GBA or PSP versions are the ones that did this. It might be this version, actually, where it did not matter how many arrows you had. You can equip arrows like anything else, and it would not take it away from your inventory. So they've made arrows a lot more valuable. This is very good, yes. Instead of having to stock 99 of an arrow, or you know, hey, you get like 2 Yoichi arrows. I don't really want to use these because I only have 2. Now it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I hated that too. Especially the SNES and PlayStation version when you had limited inventory space. It was really bad. And then you had arrows taking up inventory space and it's like, ugh. So this does extra damage against dragons. This just is strong. This does extra damage against giants and can cause confusion. So you can see the damage is going down. Extra damage against mages and can inflict silence. Can inflict poison. Can inflict blind. And then, you know, your elemental ones, lightning, ice, and fire. And your holy one. And just your base one. And oddly enough, here's a rare item drop. It can inflict petrify. It does, like, no damage. But it can inflict petrify. Again, I don't know how valuable petrify is. Because I never really used petrify much in this game. But if you're able to get this, this is a very rare item drop. FF2. Yeah, FF2, also FF4. If you can get this early on, I wonder how much this breaks the game. I wonder how much this breaks the game when you get this early on. And then there's the 2 boomerangs. See, here's the thing I don't understand. Why did they only give you 2 boomerangs? Like, what's the point of having boomerangs if there's only 2 of them? Like, Boomerang Blade is just twice as strong as Boomerang, and ultimately you won't even be using a Boomerang Blade. They are good at back row. That's all they're good for. And then you have your hearts, which is for egg work. This can inflict confuse, it can inflict sleep. And then you have your claws, which is for young and eggs. He can dual wield boomerangs, yes. He can also dual wield claws. So yeah, eggs can use these weapons when you don't have young anymore. But you're probably not using these for eggs, because they don't give any attack. So cat claws, you can get additional ones from enemies. It inflicts sleep. Yeah, you can stick them at the back row and cast blink, but like, ultimately, like, This does give you 5 strength, 5 agility. Hell Claw gives you 3 strength, it can inflict poison. And then your elemental weapons, you know. Elemental weapons. And Fairy Claw, which is 3 agility, and does extra damage to giants, and can inflict confuse. I don't really like eggs either. Like, in terms of character, and in terms of, like, his playstyle, he's usually, you know, hanking the floor. He's usually hanking the floor. Whips! Oh, and the other thing is eggs can, throw these. There is one item I did not get. And in order to get this, you have to do the whole, young side quest. And then you go to, the Sylph Cave. You find Young. Talk to everyone there. Go to Young's wife and get the frying pan. Go back to Young, use the frying pan, and then go back to Young's wife, give her the frying pan, and get the kitchen knife. Do all of this before going to the moon. If you don't do it before going to the moon, you will not get this item. He is weak. He's very weak. So, these do good damage. This does like thousands of damage. The kitchen knife does 9999 damage. You only get 1 though. It does have an attack of 255. Hilariously, in like the Enterprise version of the game, which is used by, you know, speedrunners, the Enterprise, you can actually equip a knife at Edward, the kitchen knife, and it actually makes Edward decent. Now, it's still Edward, though. He's still useless, but you know. The whips! Yeah, throwing weapons, yeah. So the whips are only useful by Rygia. They all do full damage from the back row, believe it or not. And they all have the ability to inflict paralyze. Why are you hacking with Rygia? I don't know. Why are you hacking with Rygia? Whips generally don't give very good magic stats. They do give decent agility, stamina, these two, and you know, decent attack, but why are you hacking with Rygia? So, if I recall, this is Fire Elemental. I don't remember if this, I don't think this casts Viraga when you hack with it. I mean, LP Conservation, yeah, I suppose. This inflicts lightning, this is fire. All of these have paralyze. All whips inflict paralyze when attacking. This does extra damage to dragons. Dragon's Whisker, which is her best, whip, is a rare freaking item drop. So if you want to get this weapon, have fun. Just have bloody fun, mate. Just have bloody fun, mate. Everything else, like you can buy the chain whip, you can whip, like a blitz whip. I think you have to find the flame whip. Flame whip is generally going to be your strongest weapon. But this is a rare weapon for her. Have fun. And that's all the weapons. Imagine that. We're not dealing with, this is actually going to take a lot faster to do than the previous game. Let me look at my task manager. I want to look at OBS. Hey, look, OBS is at 15%. OBS is behaving. Give me just a second. So there are some shields in this game. In the SNES and PlayStation versions of the game, there is a glitch involving shields where if you do it just right, you can equip shields to any character in the game. Even characters that normally cannot equip them. For example, you can equip it to Rygia or Rosa. So, you can normally only do this up to the Mithril Shield for Rygia and Rosa. But, I mean, at least they get a shield, right? Give me just a second. I'm double checking a couple things real quick. The heck? What do you mean Iris streamed 4 hours ago? What? Iris was streaming at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. That's 11 p.m. for her, what? What do you mean Iris was up that late? Okay. Anyways, going back to this, shields are mostly equippable by Cecil and Kane. Sig, I think Sig is the only other one who can use shields. But if you give Sig a shield, he can't use a weapon, if I recall. Now, the Crystal Shield, you only get one of these. This is found in the final dungeon. It's the best shield in the game for, Cecil. It gives him, resistance to undead attacks. Dragon Shield. You might be wondering, why not the Dragon Shield? It gives you fire, ice, and lightning resist. Because other things that Cecil has does the same thing. So, you're gonna put this on Kane, more than likely. You never need to give Sig a shield. There's never a reason to. So yeah, you would most likely give this to, Kane. Genji Shield. You know what? Give me a second. I'm gonna double check something. I'm gonna double check something. Let me see. Let me do this. I'm gonna set this up over here. Yeah, Kane can equip the Defender. Final Fantasy IV armor. I'm checking something real quick. Let me check the Genji Shield. Okay, Genji Shield's just a shield. Gotcha. I thought it did something else. It does not. Aegis Shield makes you resist magic attack. I don't know if that's magic attack or, what does it mean by that? Wait a minute. No! Genji Seal. It just says resisted against mages. That does not tell me anything. That tells me absolutely nothing. What do you mean resistant against mages? What does that even mean? So Aegis Shield does prevent Petrify and Gradual Petrify. You can find this in Framework. The Diamond Shield, Ice Shield, and Flame Shield are very similar. Diamond Shield is resistant to lightning. Ice and Flame are interesting in Ice gives you resistance to fire, but makes you weak to ice. And vice versa. Very interesting that they gave you a weakness when equipping the elemental stuff. And I think this is true for the armors too. Now if you equip the opposite armor, I think it negates the weakness. Mithril Shield makes you resistant to attacks from undead. Light Shield, which is only by Cecil, makes you resistant to undead. This is the first shield that you're going to get for Paladin Cecil. And then, you know, you get these shields, which is for Dark Knight Cecil, which... Oh no! Dark Knight Cecil! If there is one thing that I really hate about some games, it's grinding. Now, sometimes I enjoy the grind. I really do. Sometimes I really do love grinding. This game, however, makes me hate grinding. This stupid helmet. This stupid helmet, and can be used by everyone, is such a rare item drop from one enemy in the final dungeon and in the final 3 floors of the game. The odds of you ever seen this helmet is so minuscule. I wonder how many people have actively seen this helmet in their playthrough of the game. I am gonna say so little have seen this stupid thing. And the best part is, it's not even that great. It is very good for defense. It's the highest defense in the game. So if you want defense, this is very good. But it is so rare that you are never going to see this. I have never saw this in my playthrough. Any of my playthroughs I've done in the past, never saw this. Because here's the thing. The death mask, I generally just run from, because they are such a pain in the butt to fight normally. I don't like fighting those guys, and that's the enemy that has this item drop. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. The Crystal Helm. You get this in the final dungeon. It's only for Cecil. This is why you don't need to worry about the Dragon Seal. You just put this on Cecil, and he'll have the same stuff, plus resistant and undead. Cecil is your tank. And then there's this, which is, you know, I don't know why every single dragon equipment has the same thing. It also makes you resist dragon attacks. You can equip it to Cecil or Kane, so I mean, if you want to give Cecil resistance to dragons, I guess, but like... Okay. Yeah, Dragoon Shield is more for the Dragoon. You would probably be using, like, the crystal seal for defense and stuff. And evasion. You can also use the Aegis seal, but I guess, I mean, there's no reason to. Honestly, in all honesty, you would probably put the Dragon Seal on, Cecil over the Crystal Seal. I can give, Kane something else. I can give Kane the Dragon Helm. I mean, there's no reason not to. I got Genji Helm. You get these, final, in, Lair of the Fogger. And I think the final guns, and it's just a generic helmet. Ribbon! Resist mage attacks, so magic attacks do less. And immunity to status effects. So, everyone can equip this. You find 2 of these after fighting the Lunasaurs. You can get more as rare item drops from the Dark Sages. But good luck with that, it's a rare item drop. You can, if you really want to. There's no real reason to, because status effects aren't really that big of a problem at endgame, as far as I'm aware. It does not stop Doom, by the way. Doom will still happen. Also, it doesn't really give you that much stats, so, like, you know, you're not really gonna be used. Well, I mean, it's not bad in terms of stats. Actually, it's actually very good for stats. Diamond Helm, same as the Diamond Seal. Mithril Helm, same as the Mithril Seal. Gold Hairpin, only for mages. Gives you some magic base and magic defense. It's very good for mages. You're gonna be using this for your mages whenever you can. Also makes them resist lightning and undead attacks. So this is very good for your mages. Always skip these whenever you can. Light Helm. Resist undead. Your first helmet for Paladin Cecil. Demon Helm. Dark Helm and Hades Helm. These are Dark Knight Cecils. And whatever. Sage's Mitre. This is your go-to hat for mages if you don't get the gold hairpin. Gold hairpin's a lot better for Rygia. But I mean, there's no reason not to give it a Rosa too. Honestly, this is better for Rosa because it gives her spirit. It gives you a resistance to undead attacks too. But ultimately, I feel like this is still better. Black Cow prevents sleep. Gives you a lot of stats. This is very good early on in the game. And it's usable by everyone. So if you need more speed, stamina, evasion, this is pretty good. Wizard's Hat. Generic hat for mages, you know. It's whatever. Green Beret. Useful by everyone. It gives you just a little bit of boost in some stats. Iron Helm. Standard helmet you get at the start of the game. Feather Cap. A weak cap, you'll get this early on. Headband. Prevents confusion. Also decent strength. Funny thing about the headband? Yes, you do see this right here. We'll get a that. We'll get that. Yes, I did get that. And it didn't take very long. It was like on my 6th try. I think it only took 6 tries to get that. I was so surprised. Or maybe, I think it was my 1st or 2nd try, actually. It didn't take very long. I was like, wow. I actually got this? Headband is a funny, helmet. I think you can win I think you can find one of these, but, I think these are mostly just rare drops from behemoths. And then, you know, your standard letter cap, like people start with. When you make the trick with the item, you're gonna have to be more thorough with that. Armors! If you want a break Final Fantasy IV, you get the Adamant Armor. The odds of you getting this is very low though. You have to fight the Pink Hail, which is a rare enemy in one room in the final dungeon. One very specific room. They're kinda tough to beat if you're not, you know, high enough level. But if you get this armor, yes, you use the siren for this. That's how you get this. You use the siren. This is broken. As you can see, 100 defense. That's a lot of defense. 15 to a lot of stats. 20 magic defense. And evasion. 12 magic evasion. On top of that, it doesn't say it here, but I'm gonna tell you this right now. It gives you resistance to fire, ice, lightning, poison, blind, silent, pig, mini, home, petrify, death, gradual petrify, confuse, sleep, paralyze, curse, and for some reason, I don't know why, it gives you immunity to float. It makes you immune to float. Why does it make you immune to float? To float? I don't get it. This requires you to get the Pink Hail and then trade it at the Adamant Isle Grotto to get Adamant Armor. Everyone in the game can equip it. Except Dark Knight Cecil. I mean, you're not using Dark Knight Cecil. Everyone can equip this. So yes, you can make Rosa and Rydia invincible. This is the only heavy armor that everyone can equip in the game. There's a couple enemies that use Quake and, you know, Earthquake. Crystal Mail. Cecil only. By the way, I'm gonna tell you this right now. This is the only time in the history of Final Fantasy IV that I have ever gotten an Adamant Armor legit. I have never gotten an Adamant Armor legit in the past. That's how stupid this is to get. And remember, if the SNES is a PlayStation version, I don't think you can buy the siren. I think it's later on you can buy the siren, but in the older versions of the game, you're not getting that very easily. So Crystal Mail. It gives you immunity to some status effects and, you know, armor related stuff. It gives you resistance of blind, silence, mini, home, pig, and berserk. That's what it gives you resistance to. Which is pretty good. It's like a Swago, ribbon or Cecil. Dragon Mail, I mean, you know, it's your typical dragon stuff. You're probably focused on Kane. Genji armor, your typical Genji stuff. Eggs can use this. So if you want some decent armor for Eggs, you can give him the Genji armor. Okay, you know, diamond armor, ice armor, flame mail. They're the same as the shields. And yeah, this is the same as the shields, so, you know. Mithril armor, your standard mithril. Knight's armor is their starting armor for Paladin Cecil. Demon armor, Hades armor, and dark armor. These are all for, you know, Dark Knight Cecil, so, or whatever. Iron armor is your starting armor. Sid can also use this, I think. It can only be bought in a mobile version or later. You can buy them in this version of the game, too. Now, light armor. So, this is the Genji armor, right? Except for magic defense for, or more magic defense when you want defense. This is the black garb. Only Edge can use it. Edge is gonna want this. This is very good for Edge. Get this for Edge. It's very nice. Now, let's talk about the Minerva Bustier. Only females can use it. Rosa and Rydia. Callum cannot use this. So, 20 defense, 40 evasion, 5 magic defense, 5 magic evasion, 15 strength, 15 agility, 15 stamina, minus 15 in white magic and black magic. So, this is a pretty solid armor. It's a very solid armor. It makes your mages be basically more resistant. It basically is like a bunny suit of sorts. Here's the thing. If you want better white magic or black magic, you're not really using the Minerva Bustier. You're just not. And their physical stats are so low that you're probably not using it for physical attacks. One of the things that's not mentioned here is it does give resistance to paralyze. But you don't really see paralyze very much in this game, so like... I mean, it's up to you if you think the defense, like 2 extra defense, is worth putting on. It might be better for Rydia, ultimately, but like, you better put this on Rosa than this. Speaking of, Cecil can also use it. This is very good. This is probably going to be the ultimate armor for Rosa. Because, you know, 15... yeah, if you need extra defense... I mean, the thing with Cell Protect, I don't think they work the same way as Cell Protect does in other games. I think you can stack them. I don't know if you can in this version. I have no idea how they work in this version of the game. But yeah, White Robe, it's gonna be the best armor you're gonna be using for Rosa, I think. Unless you want, you know, all of that. Power Sash. It's very good for attack. Everyone can use it. If you want extra physical damage, you're probably gonna put this on, Cecil or Kane. Or, you know, Eggs. Light Robe. It's like a weaker version of a White Robe. You might be using this with, Rydia. It also gives... yeah, you're gonna be using this with probably, Rosa, actually. It gives you lightning resist and undead resist. Black Belt Gi. It's a bit of a weaker version of a Power Sash, but it does give you more defense or evasion and a little bit in extra stats. Yeah, you can miss with Cell Protect. Everyone can use this. You can get this earlier in the game. Get the Power Sash, but like ultimately, you're only gonna use this on like Cecil, Kane, and Edge. Black robe. Here's the sad thing about the black robe. Well, I mean, once you get the white robe, it's going to be going on Rosa. So you're probably going to put the light robe on Rydia over the black robe. You're going to be using this for Rydia early on. Once you get the white robe, you can put the light robe on Rydia, unless you want her to have this. Oh, it does say that it's paralysis resistant. Never mind. Sage to Surplice. Standard mage stuff. Kabuki. Standard, you know, physical, damage thing. Gaia Gear prevents gradual petrify. I mean, if you're gonna fight, like, Barbaricia, I guess you can use this, but, like, ultimately, I mean, meh? Letter Garb, you start with this, or, you can buy this early on. It's nothing special. Bard's Tunic. This is Edward's unique armor. Prevents silence. Actually, I think you find this. Prisoner's Wear. Prevents sleep. This is what, Sid and Rosa, I think, both came with this. I did get it working. I have not tested it with my controller yet, hey. I need to do that after the stream. Thank you for, letting me know that. I do need to test that after the stream. Just make sure that it works without me having to use anything external. So, fun fact. I don't know. Hey, Melty. Do you use, like, a PlayStation 5 controller by any chance? If Melty is around, Melty might not be around right now. Clothes, you start with these. Again, we get to the arms. Yes. This God-forsaken arm. If you're wondering how I got who Wyvernlands is, this is where I got who Wyvernlands is. Because only the red dragon or the blue dragon, I forget which one, drops this as the rarest drop. It is the strongest armor in the game. It gives you resistance to dragon attacks and prevents confused sleep paralysis. Again, much like the glass mask, and probably Dragon's Whisker, how many people have ever got this stupid thing in their playthrough? It is so rare. Now, I don't think I've ever seen... I think I saw this one time in a previous playthrough. One time, I think. And that was on the PlayStation, I believe. I think, like, any attacks that a dragon does, so, like, if you're fighting a blue dragon or a red dragon, and it does, like, any of its abilities, you're just gonna take less damage from it. Yeah, because summon items is another thing. Keep in mind, though. Keep in mind, everyone can use it. It's not bad. It's just stupidly rare. You're better off with Protect Ring, I think. Protect Ring gives you about the same stats, just 10 less defense, but 15 more stamina. Everyone can use it. And it gives you resistance to fire, ice, and lightning. So it's just overall better than Crystal Ring, I feel. You're most likely gonna slap this on Rosa Regia. Cecil and Kane have enough elemental protection that they don't need to protect the ring. And they got high enough stats, they don't really need any of this. So you probably put this on Rosa Regia. Eggs doesn't really need it. Crystal Glove. Cecil only. Okay, I guess. If you have the Crystal Ring, just slap that on Cecil. However, I will tell you this right now. Here's another rare freaking drop from enemies. The Giant's Glove. Resistance to giant damage from giants and prevents mini. You can get this early on. It's for your physical fighters. It is a very strong armor. You can get this from some giant enemies. I have got this in past playthroughs. This is an amazing item drop again. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Actually, I think it got as item drop normally in this playthrough. It gives you very good defense, very good stamina, and very good strength. Very good to have overall. It is a rare drop though, so the odds of you getting this is probably the same as like all the other rare drop. Dragon Gloves, you know, same thing here. Genji Glove, same thing here. X is probably getting the Genji Glove. Diamond Gloves, same as all the other diamond stuff, you know. Diamond Armlet is the same as Diamond Gloves, kinda. But it's for mages and eggs. I don't know why eggs gets the armlets, but okay. Mithril Gloves, same as all the Mithrils. Rune Armlet. Resists mage attacks and prevents silence. This is another item drop, I believe. So this is another rare item drop. It's nice if you could get it early on, but it's one of those things that you may not get very easily. Same with Gauntlets is Cecil starting, or Paladin Cecil starting armor you get. Silver Armlet, standard thing early on. Demon Gloves and Hades Gloves, they're and Dark Gloves, they're all for Dark Knight Cecil, nothing super fancy. Power Armlet. It's a rare item drop. It gives you some strength. I think this is a rare item drop. Useful by a few characters. Not Rosa, apparently. Iron Armlet, standard thing. Iron Glove, standard glove. And the Ruby Ring. A nice ring for everyone. Fence Pig. You're gonna want this for when you fight a specific boss, but outside of that boss, Ruby Ring is kinda useless. And finally, the Curse Ring. Another super rare item. It drops all of your stats. All of them. So what's the use of this? It enhances elemental resist. Let me tell you what that does. So, it's minus 15 to all stats. However, it turns elemental resist. So, say you put on like a fire flame seal, right? You get resistance to fire. Or say you put on the dragon seal for resist of fire, ice, and lightning. This turns the resist into absorb. This is how you end up absorbing elemental attacks. Granted, is it worth the drop in all of the stats? You cannot uncurse it, no. I'm gonna tell you this right now. This item is imperative. Imperative. It's a 3D person. Without this item in a 3D person, some fights are just maddening. They suck. They absolutely suck. And with that, that is all of the items. How about that? Oh yeah, I do have a pink hail, so I could get another Ackerman armor. So I do have a frying pan, unfortunately. I've got to turn it in. I don't know why you keep some of these key items. It's like, okay. Why do I have this? Why do I have this? And that is everything in the menu. Hooray! We're done with the menus. So, why don't we take a look around the world? Don't go there. Let me find my airship. I want the actual airship. Fun fact, this diagonal, this is the only game in the series, or the only version of the game where you can move diagonally. You can't do that in any other 2D version. So how about that? We're done with all of that. So, let's talk about the area, shall we? Let me go ahead and find all of the stuff that I need to find. Alright. It's treasure time. So let's talk about our starting town, shall we? Let me find, Really? You're gonna make me, Alright, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. You're gonna make me actually... Alright, so, Baron. Baron is the first town of the game that you're gonna be starting at. Where's the treasure? Magoo. Oh, here it is. Alright, so, treasures. You can get most of the treasures here in Baron. It's split between the castle and the hound. The Hound of Baron. Let's see, so, you can get 4 potions in the SNES version, 3 in the others. There's an ether. In the SNES version, there's 3 remedies. In the SNES version, there's 4 hints and 2 in the other versions. There's Casus' Wrath, 3000 Gil, Phoenix Down, and Baron Key. Hold on, let me look. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What? Is this correct? I think what I'm going to do is look for a Final Fantasy IV Pixel Remaster Steam walkthrough. I'm gonna look through a walkthrough because I don't trust I do not trust you. So, there's a potion. There is a dwarven bread, a hen, and eye drops. There's another potion. There is a hen, an hourglass. There is a phoenix down, a golden eagle, a Phoenix down. And that is all you can get right now. When you come back to Baron, you should be able to also get, well, you'll get the Baron key. You will get the Zeus's Wrath, 2,000 gil. You will find 1,000 gil. And that will be every item in the game. Or Baron. Ignore my stuffy nose. So that's the Town of Baron. What about Castle Baron? Well, in Castle Baron, you can find, right off the bat, oi, you will find 480 gil, an ether, and a hen. Once you come back later in the game, you can go back and you can find an ether, a unicorn horn, a phoenix down, and a phoenix down, a Bacchus' Psyker, Hermes Zeus, Bacchus' Psyker, and Hermes Zeus. And you will find a high potion, and a high potion, and an ether, hen, and a hen. And you will also find an elixir, and that should be all the items in Castle Baron. Mist! Welcome to Mist! You can come back here after you get the airship. Mist is a very good place to revisit. Always come back to Mist when you can. Let me see if there's 7 things here. You can get the gold hairpin, which you want to get immediately, clothes, and a ruby ring. You can also get the rod exchange. This is where you find the rod exchange. Very good to get. You will also find a ball fragment, and a ball fragment. And that is it. Also, when you come here, you can also get the dancing dagger. It's probably not as useful here, but it exists. Kaipo! There's only 1 item in Kaipo. That's sad. Only 1 item. And that item is an ether. Davesian Castle. You can find a lot of stuff here. You will find a ruby ring, a feather cap, a crossbow. You'll find potion, antidote, eye drops, ether, phoenix gown, golden eagle, elixir, holy arrow, iron arrow. And you will also find a hen. So that's all the items there. A full castle. There are more items than it lets on be, so you will find, give me just a second. You will find a Hermes Zeus. You'll find Spider Silk, Demon Shield, Ether. You will get the Deathbreaker and a hen. Bacchus' Siger, Zeus's Wrath, Ball Fragment, and Arc Wind Potion. And later in the game, you'll get a fry pan, and this is also where you get the kitchen knife. Mysticia! There are no items. Troa Castle is very, very lucrative. Bacchus' Tiger! Hen, high potion, ether, ruby ring. You will also find the wind harp, and then you can come back here later, and you will be able to get a high potion, or not high potion. That's the wrong place. You will be able to get 18 chests. which is Remedy, Ether, Dry Ether, Elixir, Echo Herbs, Great Bow, Fire Arrow, 5,000 gil, High Potion, Remedy, Ether, Dry Ether, Silver Apple, Echo Herbs, Ice Arrow, Thunder Arrow, and 50,000 gil. Oh boy, 50,000 gil, baby. Now, in Troa, there's only 4 items. You will find, 1,000 gil, a decoy, an ether, a dry ether, and that is it. Asgard only has 1 item, which you will find, you will find the Anarch Wind. Evelyn Castle, very lucrative. You can come here early. It really, really hurts. No, I'm gonna tell you that right now. It really, really hurts. But it does give you lots of good stuff. Alright, so. Give me just a second. Give me just a second. Alright, you will find a Corel Whisker. Emergency exit. High Potion, High Potion. You will have to fight 2 Corals and Lamia to get the Blood Lance. There's a Silver Hourglass. There is an Ether, and then you will fight 3 Mad Ogres, which will have the Silver Apple. You can use Tornado on those guys, good to know. You will also get, after fighting 4 Sculptures and a Steel Golem, you will get the Sleep Blade. And then you will find Bacchus' Scyther, Mute Arrow, 10,000 gil, Bomb Core, High Potion, Unicorn Horn, Alarm Clock, Gold Needle, Cottage, Maiden's Kiss, and that should be everything. In the Evelyn Settlement, let me see, how do you get the Evelyn Settlement? Does it even talk about the Evelyn Settlement? Oh, it's right here. In the Evelyn Settlement, not the Cave of Evelyn, mind you, the Evelyn Settlement. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? Where you at? You will find a potion and a potion. Mithril only has 3 items. Let me see if I can find Mithril on here. Mithril is very good to go to as well, because Mithril will have free Mithril stuff you can get. Why can I not find Mithril? No, Mithril. 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 Oh, there it is. I was like, where is it? I can't find it. You will find a Mithril staff, a Mithril knife, and 5,000 gil. 5,000 girl? If you find the 5,000 girls, let me know where you found them. Okay? I will be right back. Give me just a second, please. have returned. It is I, the Sonomic, who has returned. Alright, so Academic Grotto, there's nothing there. Chocobo Forest. All the Chocobo Forests have, I guess, all green in them. The Chocobo Village, on the other hand, can I even find that? Chocobo Village. I think you find 3 Gasol Greens. Yeah, because 3 Gasol Greens there. Mist Cave. So there's only 4 items there. What the heck? Why am I all the way up here? Let's go to the Mist Cave. We're going to the dungeons now. Alright. Why? Are you all the way up there? Get up there. I don't want to be a typo. Mist Cave. You will find an eye drop, a hint, and a potion, as well as another potion. The underground waterway. Let me make sure. Okay. You will find a hidden path in here that will give you some of your items. You will find a potion, a maid's kiss, a hint, an iron armlet. And in the secret room, you will find an explosion, a dry eater, and a phoenix down. You will also find... Now, I'm going to put this over here, actually. You're going to go over here right now. Alright. You will also find a potion, an ether. You will find an ice rod, 500 AGL, a bomb fragment. There is also a feather cap and a potion. Always look for potions, and you will find an ether, Anarch Wind, Hourglass, Shadow Blade. That should be everything in there. At the subterranean lake, there are only 4 items: the Hades helm and the Hades glove, as well as the Hades armor and Hermes shoes. And at the Antlion Cave, there are 13 items. You'll find a Spire Shield, a potion, a hen, a potion, a golden eagle, an anarchic wind, a Lamia's heart, a Spire Shield, a potion, an emergency exit, an ether, a phoenix down. And that will be everything there, I believe. In Mount Hobbs. Mount Hobbs has... Oh, you also get the sand ruby here. At Mount Hobbs, you will find a hen, a potion, a golden eagle, 960 gil, and the holy arrow. In Mount Ordeal, you will find a potion, another potion, an ether, and another ether. There's an old waterway within Barren. Let me find it. You will find a high potion, an ether, and Zeus's wrath. You will also find an hourglass, a spider silk, and don't forget, you will also find a Hermes shoes, an ether, and in a hidden area in the safe room, you will find an ancient sword. And that should be everything. In the magnetic cavern. Fun fact about the magnetic cavern, don't equip anything metallic. Otherwise, you'll be under constant paralysis. If everyone is under constant paralysis, it's just game over. Make sure to unequip anything metallic. There are 10 items. You will find a high potion, a unicorn horn, an ether, another ether, 2,000 gil, a high potion, a spider silk, an hourglass, a fairy claw, an emergency exit. And that should be everything. In the cave of Evelyn, the cave of Evelyn, you will find. I must go up here. You will find a surgeon, a remedy, a vampire fang. You will also find an ether, a tent, a high potion, a bomb core, a surgeon. You will also find 2 elixirs, a high potion, a cottage, another high potion, a spider silk, a silver hourglass, a phoenix down, and another phoenix down. And then you will fight 2 steel golems, which will give you the blood sword. And that is hidden in the save room. And you will also find a golden needle, as well as a dry ether. And that should be everything. And the power of Babylon. I believe it's this one. No, it's this one right here. You will find a unicorn, a silver hourglass. There are 4 mad ogres within a chest that has the ogre killer, the Lilith's kiss, and the Asura. 82,000 gil. That is so much money. All the money. A high potion. Another high potion. And that should be all items for the overworld. However, we do have the underworld. So here we have the Dwarven Castle. Let me go up here real quick. Alright, so you could get 5,000 gil, a rocket cider, a high potion, a black belt key, an ether, an elixir, a dwarven axe, a rocket cider, a silver hourglass, an elixir, a power armor, and an ether. You will also be able to find a Gasol green and green cottages. That should be everything. In Hamra, you will be able to find. Let's see, you will be able to find an anarch wing, a bomb fragment, a Zeus's wrath, a bestiary, a dry ether, and 2,000 gil. In the land of summons, you'll be able to find an ether, a bestiary, 5,000 gil, 6,000 gil. There is a hidden room that has a dry ether, an elixir, the Uixi's bow, and a Uixi arrow. You can also find a rat tail. And I believe, oh yes, you will also be able to find the bestiary and the phoenix down. And I believe that is everything you can get here. 2 of the items are like really weird again. They're like very specific timing. And I think they're both, bestiaries. I'm not sure how you're supposed to get those items, honestly. I'm not sure when you're supposed to get those items. Because they are weird. They're very weird. Silken Cave. At the Silken Cottage, you can find... This is another one where there's a weird item, too. There's a very weird item here. You will find a hell claw and a cat claw. I actually don't know where this... Yeah, this one item is also super weird. Like, it's super, super weird. And I think it's very, I think it depends on when you come back here. Coco's. You will be able to find here at Coco's Smithy a remedy and a soma drop in the Tower of Babel. You will be able to find. Give me just a second, and I'll tell you what you can find. You can find an emergency exit, a high potion, an ether, a green beret. For defeating a security eye, you will get the ice ring. Defeating a stone golem will get you the ice land. There is a cat claw, a high potion, a phoenix gown, a killer bow, and an arc wind. There is also a security eye you can fight to get the ice armor. And another security eye that will get you the ice shield. And you will find the arctic wind, a high potion, a dry ether, and that should be every item in here. The Shield Cavern. This place sucks, by the way. This place absolutely sucks. So, the Shield Cavern. You will find the bestiary, the Kotetsu, the ether, a high potion, an ether, a bestiary, a phoenix gown, the light sword. Give me a second. An elixir, a Fuma Circuit, a light curtain, a Kotetsu, a black cow, an ether, a phoenix gown, a high potion, a bell of silence. You will also find a dry ether, an X potion, and that should be all the item. The bestiary item is basically just... It's just scan. Actually, I think it might be Grimoire. There is an item that I don't... There's a couple items I don't have actually thinking about. One of them is the Grimoire, I think, which summons a random, summon. But the bestiary is just... I believe it's just, I have a bestiary, don't I? I have a bestiary. What does the bestiary do again? Oh, it just casts scan. There's no point in it, really. It's kind of just useless. And we have the Cave of Summons. And within the Cave of Summons, you can get a Phoenix Gown. And an ether. A high potion. A high potion. A cottage. A Phoenix Gown. A bestiary. A Kiku Ichimonji. A poison axe. A high potion. And you will fight 5, count them 5, enemies for the defender. And within the Sylvan Cave, one of the worst optional dungeons in the game, but very lucrative in resources.
the angel arrow, the whiskey arrow. Give me a second. You have the angel arrow, the whiskey arrow, a high potion, a man's kiss, a fairy rod, a remedy, a ball core, 2,000 gil, 3,000 gil, Megan's kiss, Megan's kiss, ether, whiskey arrow, emergency exit. And a lot of these just have enemies in them. A red fang for defeating 6 evil dreamers. A white fang for defeating 6 evil dreamers. A blue fang for defeating 6 evil dreamers. A moon ring blade for defeating 2 Malboros and 2 Mammoths. An Avenger for defeating 4 Malbors. A Medusa arrow for defeating 2 Undergrounders. That's where I got the Medusa arrow from. Huh. You can also find an open bow. A cottage. 1,000 kills. As well as fighting 6 honeycombs and a bog wings for the Mage's Master. You can also find an Arctic Wind, Golden Apple, Soma Drop, Ether, High Potion, and an Elixir. And that should be all of the items here in the game. But wait, there's more. But we are not done here. We went to the overworld, and we went to the underground. But now, let's head to the moon and see what there is to get on the moon. Here on the moon, there's not many chests, but on the western lunar path, you will find, you will find, a golden apple, a lunar curtain, and a stardust. And on the eastern lunar path, there's nothing there, the cave of Bahamut. You will find the Genji gloves, as well as the Genji shield, and the Genji armor, and the Genji helm. I think Bahamut really likes Genji stuff. And finally, the lunar subterranean. Also at Coco Smithy, you'll get the Excalibur, by the way. The lunar subterranean. You will find a black garb. You will also find some of these you will have to fight to get the Sage's staff. You will also find the Flame Whip, the Dragon Shield, the Dragon Helm, the Dragon Mail, and the Dragon Gloves, so you too can start cosplaying as a Dragoon, or maybe even a Dragon. You will also find the Artemis Arrow, the Elixir. There is a White Fang, which is completely useless, an X Potion. You will fight a Behemoth for a Stardust Rod. You will fight a Red and Blue Dragon, which will allow you to get the Crystal Shield. There is a Protector Ring. You've got 2 Protector Rings. Defeating another Behemoth will give you the Crystal Mail. Fighting 2 Red Dragons will give you the Crystal Gloves. there is a white road. Defeating a Dino Zombie and Dark Sags will get you the Crystal Helm. You will also get a red bag. You will find the Artemis Arrow and the Fuma Circuit, a cottage. You will also find a golden apple. Defeating a Behemoth will get you your second forever ring. Defeating Dark Bahamut will get you a Ragnarok. Defeating 3 Selene Guardians and a Dark Sage will get you a Minerva Musketeer. Defeating Plague will get you a Holy Lands. Right? Yes, the Holy Lands, right? Yes. Defeating 2 Lunasaurs will get you 2 ribbons. Defeating Defeating White Dragon will get you the Murasame. Defeating Ogopogo will get you the Moss Moon. You will also find a Fuma Circuit. In addition, you shall find an elixir, a Gasol Whistle, a Fuma Circuit, and a Fuma Circuit. And that should be all of the items in the game, ladies and gentlemen. All the items have been found. Who is messaging me? And I think that is all we are going to be doing today. So, allow me to return to... I shall return back here. So we got a good amount of this done. We are done with this for today. Next time we will begin the bestiary. It feels like this kinda went a little bit faster than the other games, or maybe it took the same amount of time. I don't know. I'm not sure. It might take the same amount of time. But next time, we will pick up here. And we will be doing the bestiary, of which there are 197 enemies in the game. You will note that I will be missing nobody, actually. I must have taken the time to go and get this enemy, huh? Originally, I was missing that enemy. I guess I took the time to go back and get him. So, before we end, why don't we see what everyone's best equipment is, shall we? So, you want a Stardust Rod. Actually, let's take a look at your stat. Your intellect is 79. Let us fix that by giving you a Stardust Rod. And you can keep the Minerva Bustier as well. And you will also get... You're gonna keep that. You're not keeping that. You will also get the Protect Ring. So really, Cecil doesn't really need that. So let's say we don't have adamant armor. So, this is basically what I go with Rydia. I generally go with the setup at endgame for Rydia, which I think is a pretty solid setup. Whoops. It gives you, max and, it gives you the highest intellect. You know, all that stuff. If you don't want to use the Minerva Bustier, you will be using the Light Robe instead. Which, you know, yeah. But the Minerva Bustier does give you a bunch of evasions, so use whichever you want to use. Cecil is just, I see someone has stuff that they shouldn't have. This is generally what I go with Cecil. I generally go with this as the loadout for Cecil. Ignore the Crystal Helm. This gives you elemental resist, and you know, a bunch of status resist and whatnot. Rosa generally sticks with a staff. Generally. And let's say we don't have this. So this is what Rosa generally would have. Which gives her high spirit and stuff. But, alternatively, if you wanted to, you could give her the, Artemis Bow and Artemis Arrow. And give her more attack. So still have high spirit, but this does let her do damage. Kane is Kane. There's nothing else to say about Kane. And eggs just gets whatever's left over. Ignore the giant gloves. Normally it would be Genji gloves. And even with all of this, let's see what their final stats are. So, he's strong, and he's sturdy. He's got high spirit, high stamina. Yep. He's got very high stats. Like, everyone is very, very well decked out with this, setup. And then there's Eggs, with his crummy defense. He has worse defense than Rydia with his setup. Now let's say you want to make someone, invincible. Like, say you have an adamant armor. Look at... Notice the difference with the adamant armor. Look at how much difference that makes. Super Hanky White Mage. And look at all of those stats. Almost max strength. Almost... Or, max stamina and max spirit. This lady is never going to die. Ever. And with that, I will say, until next time, everyone. We will be doing the bestiary next time. I will probably do it next week, just so I can wrap it up. I do want to get Final Fantasy 5 and 6 done. 5's gonna be a doozy. I don't know. Hey, I will talk to you after the stream. But anyways, I will say, until next time, everyone, whatever that may be, we're gonna be doing probably either Voidex next week or another Yu-Gi-Oh! Satsugan. So, let's see. For those who are gonna be heading out, Mint is currently doing, Metal Gear Solid Delta. Nimi is actually going to be streaming today, which is a surprise. I'm actually very surprised. Pio's going to be doing Chronos the New Dawn at midnight. Bay is going to be doing Yakuza 5 at 9, so don't expect any, night stream tonight. Goki's going to be doing, Sleeping Dogs at 8 p.m. Anything else? Scarlett's doing some cooking stream. And... that is all I see at the moment. I don't see anything else. So that is all for today. I will say, until next time, everyone. whatever that may be. You all have a great morning, afternoon, evening, night. And I will catch you all on the flip side of the way. Take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.